Hey guys, so I want to show you inside of the ad accounts. You can see here. So this one, for instance, $528,000 in sales just from reported from Facebook. In the last 30 days was $142,000 ad spent. You can see last 14 days 69,000 spent, 225 in sales, which is pretty good. Return on ad spend of 323 in the last 30 days. It was 370, which is pretty good and very profitable. So I want to show you the main insights for scaling this ad account and the insight that you can use to scale your account as well, right? So the way we kind of like manage scaling, right, and increasing budgets, like you need to have certain KPIs, and by KPIs I mean key performance indicators by which you optimize your ad account. You need to have kind of like some benchmarks by which you kind of like operate, right? It's kind of like if you if you don't know like what good is and what bad is, like how do you manage kind of like to get any kind of results, right? So for Facebook ads, my personal preference and my personal kind of like goals for each ad that I create is to achieve 3% click-through rate link, right? So for example, if we get like inside of this ad account, you can see 4% click-through rate link, which is pretty good. Most people ad account, they're like 1-2%, sometimes even less. So that's an issue, right? That's an issue because it's pretty much like you're advertising, you're not very competitive, your ads are not very engaging, so you pretty much have no competitive advantage like whatsoever if you're competing with other people. So that will lead your ads to be kind of like maybe working for one day and suddenly like lose performance because you're simply not competitive. Someone else just creates better ads and they'll get their ads shown and you will not get your ads shown, or you will just like overpay massively for the impressions and the conversions that you get, right? So you have to be very competitive. 4% it's pretty good. 3% click-through rate link is my personal benchmark. I'm aiming always for cost per link click of $1 or less. Here's a bit on the higher side, but it's still profitable. But if you have like $2, $3 cost per link click, it's not viable. It's not kind of like sustainable on a bigger scale to advertise and get good results with this high like $2-3 cost per link click. So immediately you have to kind of like start seeing like inside of your ad metrics and start to test creative, basically start optimizing so you get your ads approximately to these numbers. Now, what I'm also is monitoring is 10 seconds or more on average watch time. And in my experience, that's quite important. As you can see, 10% video average watch time, that's quite important. So if you have only like 2 seconds average watch time, then you're also not competitive. The more time you can keep someone on the platform, the more Facebook will give you the preference in the auction, right? Again, it's all about competition. It's all about being competitive. So if you want to scale, you want to be competitive. You want to have that kind of like competitive advantage. You want to have some kind of, incentive like for Facebook to kind of like give you that preference in the auction, right? So 10% drop off, right? So let's say you have like 1,000 content views. So in our case, so this is like these metrics are a bit skewed. So the content views, right? Let's say you have like unique link clicks. Let's say you have 100 of them, then you should have at least like 90 content views, right? So in this case, they're like triggering more. We have more content views than link clicks. So this is not exactly like the best situation, but ideally, like you need to have so something is off with tracking here, but ideally you want to have, let's say you have 100 content unique link clicks, then you want to have like 90 content views, right? This is very, very important, right? Because if you have less than that, probably you have issues with your page loading like too long, right? That might be the issue. Now in our case, we have the pixel triggering more than once, so which is another issue, but overall metrics after that, they're pretty good. Everything is tracking properly, so we have no issues with that. But just for you to know that, and we know that our pages are loading fast, but for you need to know like if your pages are loading fast and if you don't have this like huge drop off here, right? So another thing here is content views to add to cart. Right, so this is a bit different funnel, but let's say you have like 120,000 link clicks, then you should have at least 1,200 add to carts, right? We have more than that because our funnel is structured differently. We have basically like a different structure for the funnel, but you should have at least like 1,200 add to carts so you can be profitable, right? Because if people don't add product to the cart, it means something is wrong with the product or with product description. So you need to work on that in that scenario, right? So kind of like, you know, that if 100 people land on the page, then 10 of them should add product to the cart. 10 or more, like the more the better, obviously, but 10% is kind of the benchmark. If it's only like 2-3% of people who land on your product page, add product to the cart, then something is definitely off. Something is definitely off, and you need to work on that. You need to improve your product pages. Then add to cart to purchase, right? So typically you will have like ratio of like 60 to 70% of people that are like dropping off on the checkout on the add to cart. So they add product to the cart, then they just simply, you know, drop off, right? So that's not the best. That's not ideal, right? So what you want to achieve is you want to get at least, you know, like if you get that like 30-40%, it's still okay, but you also need to work on that. You need to have cart abandonment sequence, you need to have recart, you need to have SMS bump, kind of like, and also like retargeting on Facebook, kind of like to maximize that volume that you are recovering from those all abandoned carts. And from that you should have like at least from like 10 add to carts, like 3-4 sales. So 60-70% of people abandon, but the rest of them complete their checkout. So in our case here, as you can see, like for example, we had checkouts initiated here. As you can see how many people have actually like dropped off, right? So we will see, let's say 1,599 divided by 4,648. So around 34% of people have actually completed their checkout. We have 66% of people that abandon their checkout, which is quite like industry average. I mean, we have everything implemented, so this is good. This is okay. This is within the KPIs. This is still good. But if you have, let's say, 90% drop off, then there's something definitely off. You need to work on that. Right. So these are the main things. Now, in terms of Facebook ads, how you can scale, how you can improve your metrics, so they are scalable. So these are the scalable metrics that I showed you in my experience that will allow you to spend, you know, let's say $5,000-$10,000 a day on Facebook ads profitably. That will allow you to scale your products and sales. Right. So in terms of Facebook ads, what you need to do to get to those benchmarks is make a different video ad, right? Make it more dynamic and concentrate on first 5 seconds of the video. Think about like how you can incorporate people. Think how you can incorporate some emotional triggers into your ads, so you keep people engaged with your ads, right? So they're sticking with your ads and they're watching them, and they're basically, you know, kind of like more engaged, and you achieve those higher click-through rates, right? Then try the best performing video with different thumbnail. Let's say you have a well-performing video. Why not test like 4 different thumbnails for it in different like ad set, for instance, and see which one converts the best, right? And then try different angles from the same video, right? Different ad tags you might have, right? Different length. Like you might have like different versions of it, and then you'll see that one of them typically, or 2 of them, will just like vastly outperform others, right? So you need to be in constant mode of testing. There's like testing like never ends. If you have like winner ad, like you're scaling it, you always need to be improving on that, because sooner or later that winner ad will kind of like saturate, you know, the audiences that you have, and you will have to switch anyway. So it's better to be always prepared, always be testing, right? Then so these are basically what things you can do to improve this. If you have that link clicks to content use ratio, if you have more than 10% drop off here, then you need to make your website faster. You need to simplify the structure, use a better hosting, minimize your images. So talk to some like web developer on that. You can find some good ones on Fiverr, or use some apps. And also what you can do is you can target first world countries for less, like the traffic that actually like engages, so not just people that are clicking through, and maybe like a lot of like bot traffic, right? So make sure you have these in place. Target like higher quality traffic for that countries. So content used to add to cart. right? You need to make like quite big, like add to cart button, like it should be big. People need to see it. It has to be, it cannot be like in black color. It should be like, so some green color, some red color, like, so it's impossible to miss it, right? And put it above the fold. So once people land on your website, right, it has to be on top. It has to be on top, right? So we have a good ratio here. Like you can see, like those like content, like for example, if we have link clicks, right? So our ratio here is of add to carts. It's a bit less than 10%, but this is higher price product, and that drop off here, as we have covered, like it's within the KPIs basically, right? So we're good with this specific funnel. Now, yeah, so have that product, right? So people are actually adding product to the cart. 10% or more ideally, right? So if you have it last, but all metrics are kind of like play out and you're profitable, then it's okay. But if you're not there and you can see big drop off here, then you need to work on that. You need to work on your product page to improve those results. Improve your product description. Maybe people have some questions about the shipping, about the features of the product, and maybe those are not covered at the moment. Think about what customers would ask in their, like when they're evaluating whether the product is good for you. Implement some messenger, right? So for example, people can message you and ask their questions. So then you can implement those questions inside of the product description. So people don't have to message you to figure that out. It's all basically there, and you have higher add to cart ratio. So make it like as smooth as possible for customers to go through this like checkout process. So then they have to get distracted. They can just like see all the information they need and make that decision on the spot and complete the checkout. And then add to cart. Another thing you can do here is you can add pop-ups with attractive offers and discounts, especially that's relevant for higher priced items. So you can have like 10, 15, 20, 30% discount like pop-up. Then if you can allow that kind of like margin to get people to complete the checkout, right? You're kind of like incentivizing them, but like at the same time you're getting more sales, you're seasoning your pixel faster. So it's if you're still profitable with that kind of like discount that you're giving away, it's awesome. That's all you need. So add to cart to purchase ratio, right? Improve the cart abandonment sequence. Give people discounts. Again, like discounts have big impact on the profitability. So even if you like make less profit per transaction, but you get more of those transactions and you're still profitable, then that's basically the most important part. Add SMS bump. We'll cover that in a separate video. Like this is awesome app to give you the most out of your like conversions, right? Give you the most conversions from the traffic you get. People will receive those like SMS. This is a quite high open rate. So and you can also implement different like discount codes in that sequence. And then call customers who did not finish the checkout. This is like more advanced stuff, but let's say if you're selling something like even like more higher ticket, then you can implement the sequence where your virtual assistant calls customers who abandoned their checkouts, who left their phone number, and kind of like answers their questions. And those questions that they answer, they also can be implemented throughout your sales process to your product pages, could be implemented to your sales process. So you complete, you basically get more people to complete their checkout. Right, so you need to set up your ads manager view correctly. So I'll show you here. I have an awesome resource for you guys. So this is how to set up your ultimate view Facebook dashboard. You can type in comments and I'll share it with you, the link to this. So you can see here columns to choose, but exactly what you need to have in your dashboards. This is checklist, very easy to implement, like 5 minutes, and you have amazing views. So anytime you want to kind of like see what's happening with your ads, you see the most important metrics, you see how like whether you're within those KPIs and you are on the way to scale, right? So for scaling the audiences and kind of like how to structure the testing and everything, right? So I would start with lookalike audiences. You can see the list of all of the lookalike audiences that you can utilize, right? And you can also use the Basically, you can create lookalikes. If you're advertising in Big Four, right, you can structure the lookalikes, first of all, for purchase. These are, in my experience, are the best, but also for other events like add to carts, people who've engaged, people who watched like 95% of the video. And so you can have those structured properly. I have a video on CBOs, for example, how to scale with CBOs. So this account, for example, is scaled with CBOs, but you can also scale without CBOs. It's not necessarily you have to use like CBOs, but just for you to kind of like have that in mind. And then use broad audience interests, right? If you have some of the like winning interests that you know are working, then just use Facebook suggestions, like on the ad set level, just use that button like suggestions to kind of like get more ideas on what audiences you can test. I mean, guys, what you need to understand is one simple thing, right? To get your ad account to spend, let's say, $100,000, $200,000, like $500,000 per month, like you need to just have like good ads, right? So if you don't have like good ads, like if you don't have the like click rate, good like cost per link click, if your funnel does not convert, so all of these metrics, if they're like out of KPIs, like it will not work, right? You just need to have these like fundamentals in place. Then if you use like ad set targeting, more often than not, it will work. If you use CBOs, it will work, right? So most of those things, they, structured for you. Like if you have competitive good ads, they will work for you. If you don't have those ads, then you have to get back here and improve this part, guys. Basically, you have to improve this part. You have to work on your Facebook ads. You need to have this like good funnel where people from the first interaction with your ads to basically they're viewing content, they adding product to the cart, they completing the purchase, right? And you have these KPIs basically in line with your goals, right? This is very, very important, because if you don't have that and you try to scale like using all of these like different methods, it will not work. Yeah, and even if it works, it will not be sustainable. It will work for one day, and then like for 3 more days, like you'll just lose, all the results, because you'll not be competitive. It's all about competition. You're competing with other people, and your ads need to be very, very good. And so whether they're good, again, metrics will tell you everything, whether they're good. If they're not good enough, work on them, and then you will be able to scale. So after approximately, in my experience, 1,000 purchases, if you're selling like wide appeal product, if you're selling, let's say, I don't know, clothing, or if you're selling like health and fitness products, or if you're selling like beauty products, then you can just test country plus age plus gender. This is it. No targeting at all, and you can let Facebook find your buyers, right? And this will be like if it will be profitable for you, and oftentimes, just profitable from day one, this kind of like setup, if you have good appeal product, if you have, again, which will come down to these like fundamentals, if you have good ads, if you have good funnel here, then, this will work, and you will be profitable with this setup, and you might be profitable from day one, right? Just have zero targeting, let Facebook find your buyers. We have another video where in the special session from Facebook directly, they have explained this setup. They have explained that you have to simplify everything. You have to let Facebook optimize for you. You have to let Facebook just kind of like do it like for you and target people. And you have to keep the targeting open, right? The more open you have it, the more consistent it will be, the more kind of like potential Facebook has to optimize your ads. Now, guys, I want to ask you about something, and I have so many more like tips left for you. Comment below if you want a part 2. I'll get it prepared. Please comment below for part 2, and also suggest your own tips. Like, so if you think there are any other tips for scaling that other people can benefit from, just comment below so other people can learn from it. I can learn from it because I want to learn from you as much as you want to learn from me. And and thank you very much for watching.